We're going to look at 27 here, and then the next three, which I know my numbering really gets way off. The legs of a right triangle are 8 inches and 5 inches. What is the length of the hypotenuse? So I'll draw a quick sketch. A right angle with one of the legs being 8, and the other one is 5, and this is in inches. And we want to find the hypotenuse. Well, we learned from the Pythagorean Theorem that a leg squared plus a leg squared, so leg 1 squared plus the second leg squared is always going to be equal to the hypotenuse squared. A lot of times we'll see that the legs will be named A and B, the hypotenuse C, and you'll see A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And so what we do, we want to find the hypotenuse. We'll call it H for hypotenuse. And we want to plug this into our Pythagorean theorem. Make sure you put things in the right spot. This 5 here is a leg, so we're going to put that in for a leg. So 5 squared. The 8 is a leg, so we're going to put that in for the second leg. And then the hypotenuse squared, that's our variable. We'll put H squared. So do your order of operations. We have to do exponents first. So this is 25 plus 64 equals H squared. And we have H squared equals 25 plus 64 is 89. And we want to take the square root of both sides to figure out what the squared, to figure out what H is going to be equal to. And so if you get a calculator, you know it's going to be a little over 9 because the square root of 81 is 9. But we want the square root of 89. And the square root of 89 is about 9.4. So we would take the square root of both sides, and H is 9.4. 9.4 inches. And that's how you use the Pythagorean theorem. Our next three questions have to do with finding surface area or lateral area and volume. So you need to make sure you can pick out your different formulas. You will have a formula sheet, but you have to be able to pick out which one's which. I'm not telling you what the different formulas are for. I'm just putting them on there. So 34 says find the lateral area and volume of a cylinder that has a radius of 8 centimeters and a height of 4 centimeters. So we have a cylinder. So we'll go ahead and sketch the cylinder. So there's our cylinder. It has a radius of 8, and then the height is 4. And we're looking for lateral area. So lateral area is just around the edge, around the side. It's not the top and bottom. So you need to know that your lateral area is it's the perimeter of the base times the height. In this case, this is a circumference. It's a circle. The base is a circle, so we're looking for circumference times height, and we know that circumference is 2 pi r. And then we're going to multiply that times the height. Plugging that in, our radius is 8, our height is 4. If you multiply out the numbers there without pi, you have 2 times 8, which is 16 times 4 is 64, so it's 64 pi inches. Or you could just type this all in your calculator, and you could do 2 times pi times, whoops, if you multiply that out, you get 201.1. And I'm sorry, I wrote this wrong. I put inches down here. This is inches squared because your 8 was inches and your 4 was inches, so inches times inches is inches squared. And so that's inches squared. So that is the lateral area. We also want to find the volume. The volume for a cylinder is area of the base times the height. That's how you find the volume of a prism also. The area of the base is a circle, so the area is pi r squared times h. And so plugging in your values there, your radius is 8, that's squared times the height, which is 4. Multiplying that out, we get 256 pi. That would be inches cubed because we're doing volume now. And if you figure out what that is, you get 800, about 803.8 inches cubed. And so there's your volume. Next, find the surface area and volume of a square pyramid with side length of 6 feet and slant height of 7 feet. So we want a square pyramid. So let's draw that, a square pyramid, which means the base is a square. It's a pyramid, so we'll sketch in our square pyramid. We know the side length of the base is 6 feet. And we know our slant height, which I'll try to sketch in here. The red part there, that's 7 feet. And so we want to find the surface area. The surface area is the lateral area plus the area of the base. So if you remember surface area, lateral area plus a base. Lateral area for a pyramid is 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. And then we have plus the area of the base. Well, the base here is a square, so we know the area of the square is just side squared, or we write s squared. And now let's plug in here. We have 1/2. We need to find the perimeter of this. Well, we have a 6, a 6, a 6, and a 6. So we do 6 times 4 is 24 feet. Our slant height is 7. That was given to us, 7 feet. So that's our lateral area, that part there. And then we're going to add on our base. The base is 6 feet. Sorry, the side length is 6 feet, so we square that to get the base. Figuring out what this is equal to. 1/2 times 24 is 12, times 7 is 84, so we have 84 feet squared, plus the 6 squared is 36 feet squared, for a total surface area of 120 feet squared. All right, so that's our surface area. We also want to find the volume here. Remember, volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height, not the slant height, but times the height. So that's this length right here. And so we can start working our way through this. 1/3 the area of the base, we actually found that right here. It was 36, because that was the square, so it's 6 times 6. So that's 36 feet squared. Times the height. Well, we don't have the height yet, but we can find the height, and we're going to use Pythagorean Theorem. Because we know this length, since this is a square, this is 6, this part is just 3 feet. And so we can use the Pythagorean Theorem to help us find this height. So I'll put an h there. So let's just re-sketch this triangle. The slant height was 7, that goes there. This is 3, and we want to find our height. This is a right triangle. So, as we just mentioned, Pythagorean Theorem says legs squared plus legs squared equals hypotenuse squared. So one leg is h, so h squared, plus the other leg, which is 3, equals the hypotenuse squared, which is 7 squared. Working this out, we've got h squared plus 9 equals 49. Subtract 9 from both sides, and you get h squared is 40. Taking the square root of both sides, you're going to get that h is about 6.3. And this is in feet. And so we had to do that so we could plug in for h here. So we now know that this is about 6.3 feet. And now we can multiply this. 1/3 times 36 times 6.3. and we see that we get about 76 feet. And this is, we multiplied feet squared times feet, which gives us feet cubed. That is the volume of that pyramid. All right, and number 36, surface area and volume of a sphere. These are straightforward because the only thing that these have to do with is the radius. So you just have to know your formulas. So the surface area is 4/3 pi r cubed. And so we have 4/3. I'll go ahead and write in 3.14 for pi. And then r cubed, well, our radius, it tells us, is 7. Make sure you realize what it's told. Sometimes it might tell you the diameter, sometimes it might tell you the radius. Here it tells us the radius is 7. Except, I'm sorry, I wrote that we're finding the surface area. This is the formula for volume. So let's find volume first. And 7 cubed, and we would multiply that through. So I'll do that and tell you what that is. If you multiply all that out, you get 1,436 inches cubed. So now let's really find the surface area next. Surface area, the equation is 4 pi r squared. So we have 4 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 7 inches, and we're squaring that. And now, so we just multiply there. Make sure you square your 7, which is 49. So we have 4 times pi times 49, and that gives us 615 inches squared. And that is the surface area of that sphere. And so, again, for these three, make sure you can recognize the formulas so you can plug in the right numbers.